Welcome to the 2% Club, where we talk all things work, wealth, and wellness, with the founders, funders, and forward thinkers rewriting old playbooks with intention. I'm your host, Rachel Hirsch, venture investor, wellness operator, and founder of Wellness Growth Ventures. Each week, we dive into bold conversations about scaling companies, building wealth, investing wisely, and staying mostly sane while doing it. Welcome back to the 2% Club podcast, where we talk all things work, wealth, and wellness. I'm your host, Rachel Hirsch, and today we're back with Hot Takes with Melissa Gelman-Weiss. We're talking about the disparities between men and women in comeback stories. And this came about because a big wellness conference that's coming up has someone that we don't think should be having a comeback as their keynote speaker.
Here's the deal, right? We can get into that person in a second, but I went down this rabbit hole inspired by a lot of conversation around this gentleman who is going to be headlining. Behind closed doors is a lot of chatter, but there is this very interesting misdeed to contrition ratio, right? This guy is not doing that well in the ratio, which is what is the transgression? And to what extent have you authentically owned your shit and apologized? And by the way, an apology without change is just manipulation. It's really about amending your behavior. So how are you going to show up differently? And this, our friend over here that you're referencing, has shown the opposite of contrition. Yes. In fact, it feels a little bit more like his music video where he's wearing boxing gloves and running up the stairs and the comeback kid. But he, the problem is this is a lineage of, I think, what I'm calling the comeback gap, right? Where you have
festival. I'll start you there.
Yeah, but that's a great example. And then you have Adam Newman at WeWork, who right? I think he just raised 500 something million for his next venture after leaving WeWork in shambles. Or you have the Uber CEO who was kicked out for the toxic culture he created and then sold his shares for $2.5 billion. Oh, that's hard. Shit, man, I feel sorry.
You and your yacht with a hard life.
That's so sad. I mean, and the list goes on and on. I mean, Steve Cohen, right? Had all his woes, came back, bought the Mets. And I'm not just annoyed about that because I'm a Yankee fan, but also what's up, people? What? This does not roll this way with women, by the way, at all.
Theranos. I'm not saying she deserves a second chance, but there's no world where she's getting one.
I mean, it took Winona Ryder 15 years to come back from a shoplifting charge, man.
That is a perfect comparison. That is a perfect comparison.
She was blacklisted for years, Who's
the comedian that I still struggle with who he I don't know, arguably, potentially, maybe had sexual misconduct with women. I think he admitted to it in the end and is had a Netflix special the other day.
Wait, who is this?
This comedian. He's on your list.
Oh, yeah. Louis C.K.?
Yeah, there we go.
So here's my thing on his contrition to misdeed ratio, which is I feel like he has really
you don't think it was performative? Listen, I'm actually not.
No, I don't. Well, okay. It was actually technically in a performance, so maybe that is the definition of performative. But I feel like he's essentially said, I mean, I'm just I'm a sick fuck, and
that is, listen, we're not going to okay it. I don't think he needed a Netflix special for that, but that is a step in the right direction. I'll agree with you on that. Versus, I want to bring it back to this person that we're talking about. And I appreciate that. I know that this is a risky thing that we're speaking out about, and all of it's alleged. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to live his life in peace. I'm not saying he deserves to go to prison. I'm not saying he needs to pay reparations. I don't know. I'm not the judge and jury, and I'm grateful that I'm not. But I am saying that I don't think that it was appropriate for the person who asked him to keynote speak for that to happen. I don't think that it's appropriate for all the people buying tickets to be voting with their dollars and supporting that. And I do. I really struggle with it.
Yeah. And I it really is, and clearly, because I'm like giving Louis C.K. a pass, so much of it is like my mom always says it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's the how. Like, show up, be like, man, I could have done this better, you know?
100%.
And
100%.
here's how I'd like to do that now, right? Here is how I'm
Love
going to use the power and influence, et cetera, and wealth that I've collected in a whatever way that I did it toward creating health and wellness. By the way, sorry, toward creating health and wellness. We're in the wellness
Right.
business, And so
Say
if
it louder.
something is conceived with good intentions, right? And in the spirit of being well, I really believe that it will deliver on that in a way that hits different, you
It's
know?
part of why I always say the wellness industry is so unwell. And this is the perfect example. I mean, there's so many examples. This is like tip of the iceberg example, but this is it. The wellness industry is hyper unwell. And until we start really changing it from ground up, it's just performative.
I mean, but this is hot take number 75 for the other
Right?
one, because there's a lot in there, right? There's just mega gender just disparities in our business. You have 70% of studio owners are women, but like, how many women are at the top of these mega franchise businesses? I think that is zero. I think that is correct.
There is a company right now that is in the same wellness space that is led by a bunch of men. It's a different company than we've been referring to that has been mismanaged. They have burned cash because they don't know how to operate a four-wall business. They need to hire you. And it's a running a four-wall business is vastly different than running pretty much any other business. So I don't expect you to know data, but they've run through like hundreds of millions, I think. And the company was edging bankruptcy. They went out and raised and people gave them money again. And I'm not saying that they should have gone bankrupt. I think like there are so many people whose livelihood depends on like the day-to-day operations of this conglomerate. And yet, I think that this is a behind the scenes example of exactly what you're saying. Their clientele across the board is primarily women. They are run by men. It was highly mismanaged to the point of near bankruptcy. And they're not getting new management and incorporating leaders who have done this before, gender neutral. They are keeping their jobs and they just raised more money and got to pay themselves plenty. And it's like it never happened. And the public doesn't even have to know about it. Only their investors do.
I don't understand it, because like I've been very blessed in my life to have guys, bosses, whatever, who are mentors and extraordinary humans. And so it's like, it's not like a bad, good, men versus women, binary,
Oh,
like,
no.
it's just not like that at all. And there is just a different way that men and women are treated at work. And that
Yeah.
is like a tale as old as time. But
Right.
I just feel like in an industry that it really is supposed to be about wellness, and where the customer is primarily women, many of the studio owners are primarily women, many of the whether it's instructors in fitness or whatever are women, like, at least here, it's got to be different. Like, at least in the wellness industry, we have an opportunity to do things differently. We do, and an obligation to it as well.
Also, when you look at the rest of the speakers, like the rest of the lineup for this conference, it's a lot of the same. And again, it's a lot of women that attend this conference and it's a lot of men speaking. So it's nothing against men. They should be up there. A lot of them have experiences. Maybe they should even be up there percentage wise more than women right now. And yet we should be up there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, not because it's like a philanthropic endeavor. Like,
No,
don't bring in women because like you feel bad or need to even the score. I mean, maybe it's just because there's like,
a slightly different
uh,
perspective and it matters, or your clientele has this perspective and that should matter. The people paying your bills, like all of those things, it should matter.
Yeah, I think it's just about redefining what makes someone a compelling speaker, right?
100.
Like what makes someone successful? What makes someone worthy of your
But I also
stage?
think that that starts with us as the
I'm
consumer
starting to
because I
get
do
really
think
angry.
I think we're like it's a societal norm that we respect the male figurehead more. And I think we're all guilty of it, and I don't think that that's something that's easily changed. But you see it even from like a male yoga teacher all the way up into this situation. And so I think that part of that as the consumer, we also as women, we also have to change our mindset of what we want and what we expect from a speaker and what is important for us to see on stage. So I think that should
Yeah.
land with everyone.
Yeah, I just feel like we can do better as an industry. It just doesn't it whether it was like whether it's finance or whatever the industry is, the people we elevate, that is an indicator of who we are as a business.
100%.
And
100%.
so we collectively, as people who work in this industry, have a
100%.
responsibility to elevate the people that we want to represent who we are.
100%. And I'm going to end us there because that is the crux of it. That's the hot take of the day. And in the comments, though, I want you to share other people, other examples that make you infuriated like we are right now. Melissa's too pissed to say goodbye, but we will see you next week.